So the Supreme Court on Tuesday, 12th January, has stayed the implementation of the centre's controversial farm laws. Now, as you know, there were three laws brought in towards the end of last year, which have led to widespread protests by farmers, which have led to massive protests by farmers, particularly from Punjab, Haryana, and even from some other states at the borders of Delhi. Now, the Supreme Court had been hearing a set of petitions connected to the protests. Some were petitions by people arguing for removal of the farmers who were protesting at these sites. Some are arguing that the farm laws are actually unconstitutional. The court had been sort of initially looking to get the government's view on how they were trying to approach the standoff. The government kept saying, oh, we've got negotiations going on, we've got negotiations going on. Eventually, on Monday, 11th January, the court finally said we're extremely disappointed with the centre's approach because no matter what the center keeps saying, there's no real sort of outreach being made, there's no progress being made, and the situation is only getting worse. On this basis, yesterday itself, they had said that they would be considering putting a stay on the farm laws of the center in degree. Now, yesterday, the center was quite opposed to the idea. Today, we didn't hear any specific objections. But on Monday, they had specifically said that they were opposed to the idea. Today, the Supreme Court has not just stayed these farm laws, they've now set up an expert committee which they say will be used to hear the concerns of farmers, hear the concerns and the points of view of other stakeholders, whether it's farmers who are opposed to the laws, who support the laws, the government and others, who will all provide their inputs to this expert committee, which will then provide a report to the Supreme Court of India, which will then use that in its determination of how to proceed with this matter. Now, the members of the committee are Bhupinder Singh Maan, president of the Bharatiya Kisan Union and chairman of the Kisan Coordination Committee, policy expert Dr. Pramod Joshi, agriculture economist Ashok Gulati, and Anil Ghanwat of the Shetkari Sangathan, which is an agricultural organization, a farmers-based organization from Maharashtra. Now, these four members of the committee, four members are part of the committee. They will be tasked, as the court has said, with taking inputs from other people. The committee itself will not pass any sort of determination, doesn't get to, as the court said, punish anyone, but they're the ones who will now have to provide inputs to the Supreme Court in going forward. Now, during the hearings on Monday, the court had asked the lawyers representing a number of the farm unions. There were four lawyers, senior lawyers there, Dushyant Dave, Colin Gonsalves, H.S. Pulka, and Prashant Bhushan. They asked them to try and get some inputs from their clients on what the farmers' unions, their willingness to be part of this committee, their willingness to look at the negotiations going forward. Now, those lawyers were not present in today's hearing because the listing in the court's cause list merely said that the matter was for orders today rather than for a hearing. However, lawyers for all the other parties were present, for the centre, the Attorney General and the Solicitor General, for some of these petitioners asking for removal of the protesters, Harish Salve and Vikas Singh. Now, Harish Salve tried to raise issues over the absence of these lawyers, but the court didn't specifically take up any problems with that. The Attorney General actually made the most controversial statement today, where he asserted that, in fact, there is a Khalistani infiltration of the farmers' protest. Now, this came up after Harish Salve had mentioned the fact that there is, and P.R. Narasimha, another senior advocate representing some of these petitioners, had raised an issue that, there's Sikhs for Justice, which is a group which has certain links, they say, to Khalistani organizations, has had a presence at these farmers' protests. And the Attorney General then in support was asked about, okay, is this assertion is being made, so what is the central government stand? Have they found out anything? And the Attorney General said, yes, they have Intelligence Bureau inputs which say that there is a Khalistani presence at this. Now, we'll have to see obviously what comes in the centre's affidavit, because this is obviously one of the key issues surrounding the protest, with these allegations of Khalistani involvement, even though there's been no proof of the same. Now, there is now a separate spin-off which is coming out of this case, where this issue of Khalistani involvement, plus the Delhi police's request for the farmers' proposed tractor rally, which is supposed to be taken out on Republic Day, to be stopped by the Supreme Court. Now, that's going to be taken up on Monday, 18th January. In the meanwhile, the farm laws are stayed. The protests themselves are not affected in any way. There is no order curbing the protests at this point of time still. So it remains to be seen now, once the expert committee is set up, will the farmers go and provide their inputs? What will the expert committee do? How its approach will be? What its report will be to the Supreme Court? All those updates obviously will keep coming on the Quint. One thing to remember is that there was a controversy yesterday about the Chief Justice talking about how women and elderly people and children shouldn't be part of the protest given the cold and the conditions and all of these kind of things. And today again, that issue has again become a bit of a sticking point, because one of the a lawyer representing one of the farmers unions claimed that they had accepted the Chief Justice's suggestion that women and children and elderly people would not be involved in their association's protests going forward. Now, this, of course, continues to be controversial, because there is no reason to say that women and especially elderly adults have any reason not to be present at a protest if they want to. Directions for them not to obviously would be a very controversial thing. The court has not passed any such directions, so we have to see obviously whether this continues to develop into an issue. But as of now, the key points obviously, farm laws have been stayed without, however, any reasons being given specifically in law for this. And in the meanwhile, the expert committee, which the Supreme Court has been touting for a long time, has finally been set up.